Tuesday, May 23rd, 2003. My name is Peter Ames. I'm the chair of the commission. We'll start off with a call to order and roll call for members present. Judy Brennan, secretary.
Present.
Steve Weber, selectman's rep.
Present.
Chris Burns, member.
Here.
And we have notice of absence tonight from Jeff Town and Andy Ruggles. And Mike Bosky may be in a bit later, so we'll wait before we mark him absent. All right, first order of business is the approval of the minutes from May 9th. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
I will second.
All right, motion and a second. Discussion, I have one piece on the field requests. It looks like they may not have been on it. If you scroll down to the bottom of it, looks like they are the agenda items there, but we had a couple of approvals last time. And one tonight before us, I thought we had discussed last time, but we were waiting for final dates. Is that why?
On which one?
The Fusion.
Fusion, yeah, I
Yeah.
sent those in.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have them
So we have
listed
those for
on
this
tonight's
evening.
agenda. We have the dates.
We did have Litchfield making a request for the pickleball courts, the
Yep.
LPA.
And the senior night, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Do folks have that up? I just don't know if I didn't see that. Or if there's
No,
another version.
Oh.
I'm looking at it now at the facility. Oh, no, there's nothing under there.
Yeah, but did I see something that said film ended at a certain time?
8:06 p.m. It says right here, live stream ended at 8:06 p.m.
So did we go beyond that?
I
I think
believe
we
so.
had a long meeting.
I don't
Didn't we
believe so.
have like 2 pages? No?
Oh,
Don't remember.
So I thought maybe the film ran out and then he couldn't get the information.
I don't think it's on film anymore, Judy.
That's what I meant. I meant like on YouTube, like something happened, it just blacked out.
And that VHS tape runs out. It's so frustrating.
You know,
You
you
know
gotta
what
change
I'm
the
talking
Could have been a
VCR
beta
tape.
too, though.
You gotta change the VCR tape. Sorry, please hold.
Yeah.
There was one meeting that did cut out early and it never got re-uploaded, but we do have the footage. It's just waiting to get uploaded to YouTube, the full video.
Okay.
Okay.
That's exactly what I meant.
Sounds like it was an operator issue.
So that's what I figured for some reason, some of it didn't get uploaded and then he couldn't, probably looks at it when he takes the
Well, it
minutes.
sounds like we should probably take a pause, either which way to
Yep.
figure out if we have it.
Here's
or-
table.
Okay. All right, so there's a motion and a second on the table. You either withdraw or vote it down. Any further
How do we
discussion?
do that? We wanna,
Just withdraw.
I guess I'll withdraw the
Withdraw.
motion.
All right. Motion and second is withdrawn.
And I'll make a motion to table them until our next meeting.
I'll second.
Motion to table, all in favor, raise your hand.
Aye?
Opposed, abstentions? Did you raise your hand on,
Not, sorry, I was
On approve?
taking it,
approve the motion? Just one,
for, I vote to withdraw.
yeah. Okay.
I was making a note so I'd have it on the next agenda. All right, I'm gonna get my act together now.
All right. You got it together. All right, next is public input. We have a couple folks here on the agenda. No other members of the public present, so we will go ahead and
No Mackie
close
tonight.
public input. All right, so for old business, we're gonna circle back to researching playground options, and I'll invite Chris Marr to come on up and share some work. Thank you. Just do name and address, if you could.
It's Christopher Marr, 40 Century Lane.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, it was Chris,
Welcome.
Peter, Judy, and your name?
Steve.
Steve, perfect. So, since the last time I was here, I reached out to a few companies that I know did outdoor workouts / playgrounds over just from the Phoenix area that I remembered. I met with a gentleman, Perry. Did you exchange an email
Yep.
or two with him?
He had sent one to me
Yeah.
too, yep.
Exactly, so he came out, we met on a Wednesday at Hidden Creek, drove down Albuquerque, checked out the park areas, basically the whole length of the bike path, just jotted down ideas of maybe where little slots of land could be used just as a brainstorm exercise. Perry actually wrote back in an email like a perfect example of what we went over. Even suggesting the land here, but I guess, Judy, you had mentioned that this was for like a,
This is gonna be the Veterans Park, right, the Veterans,
Oh, front?
yeah,
That's what they're hoping, yes.
yeah.
yeah.
They
So-
have the funds raised to have, I don't know what they have in mind for it, but I know it's a
Bandstand
big,
and
yeah,
open area.
bandstand and clearing some area and everything, so it'll be a gathering place, yeah.
They're still in the conceptual phase.
But even just as an example of, we literally drove down the whole thing. It was like, oh, what about here? What about here? His ideas were keeping it close to the bike path is huge. Visibility. One, it'll cut down on vandalism. I mean, there's really not much to vandalize on some of these workout areas. But vandalism, also high visibility for use. If it's tucked away, people aren't going to know it's there. It'll be hard for them to, and then also for safety too. If you have a lady that's working out, I don't know, just visibility from the road
Yeah.
might make someone feel more comfortable. So he brought me some of these pamphlets. I could pass them around. I kind of circled which ones that I thought would be good. There's like really higher cost ones, some lower cost ones, some best value ones that I circled. I could always leave these with you guys. And then I think one of the more important things that he included in that email were, and I think you touched on this, were the grants. I think Judy had asked, or maybe you had, like, awesome, what are the grants? And he sent a PDF with a bunch of grants. I haven't personally researched a lot of those, but he did offer them. So those might be, we could explore those options as well.
I know Conservation was looking at a grant, and Jason met with one of the guys after completing an application or starting it. They come over and they check out the area to let you know if it will qualify or not. And it seemed, even though it was part conservation, it was more geared toward parks and rec type activities. So he may have sent us that link to that grant, but I can look into that further too and see what that entails.
Yeah, and I could just briefly show you. I mean, you might have seen something like this. These are the wood ones. They have these orange plastic ones, but Perry had suggested, and it's not even, it's like $1,000 more to have the wood versus the plastic. And he was suggesting with how much our wooded area that the wood would really contrast well with the trees and the grass. For some of these workout things, and some of them you could piece together as well. So depending on the budget or whatever we find, we necessarily don't have to have one of these pre-made ones. You can kind of put a few stations in a little area.
So you're thinking of something like along the bike path where you walk or run or bike and hit a spot and then go further down and hit, I think I love that idea. I've loved that for a long time.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Since that last meeting, Judy and I had met one day, and we checked out both Dara and Sawmill before I met with Perry. And Judy brought up the idea of along the bike path. And I guess with Perry, my only thing was I'm not sure where people's property lines meet, the road, how much the town owns from the road over, like where that would be. If we were to put a workout station, what's the rules or the laws on them being close to the road? Obviously, if the bike path's there, it might have to be on the other side versus the Albuquerque side.
I can look into that with Jeff Blackwell.
Because there's a lot of pockets of little land along
There's
the...
like some of our land, some's conservation, some is privately owned. The other thing is, I believe a local resident had asked you about if we wanted in front of the tennis courts cleared, and that would open up.
Oh, yeah.
I was told that was going to happen. I haven't
Yeah.
seen it.
That's a lot of land right there.
That also, you may be able to put in a few pieces and then continue on.
Like there's this one here. I'll pass it around. It's this. I wrote best value on it. It's 11,920, but it has basically everything that you would kind of want. And in my experience, the ones that I had seen in Phoenix, that's a really good little option, the best option. But then there's cheaper ones too, and there's obviously more expensive ones. But that one right there really only takes up maybe these tables, maybe a little bit more than this square right here. So to find a pocket of land to put that.
And I like that it's different equipment than what's, it's not just a slide. There's different things to climb. There's multiple things that you can
Yeah.
do on
That's
those.
just one page. I mean, this company has multiple. They have a lot of. You might like this, Judy. They have a lot of obstacle course
Yeah.
things that you could put. Like a climbing thing with a net on the other side, or even. Yeah, this is just one company, by the way. But Perry is a representative for the New England area, so he gladly met with me and drove around.
What do you think of, let's say this were to fly and we'd pick different pieces of equipment. What are your thoughts on mixing like some kids, some older kids, some adult? Like if you had pull-up bars, you could have 3 different heights,
Yeah.
so
Oh,
that
yeah,
is
for
something
sure.
parent could work out with their child
Yeah.
doing it. And then having stuff for that older group, 10 to 10 and up,
Yeah.
where our other playgrounds are.
And a really good thing with a lot of these are calisthenics. They have some equipment in there that involves some mechanical. Those get really pricey, but they're also more costly if they require maintenance. A lot of the calisthenic stuff is it's just poles, wooden posts with metal poles. So a good thing just with my fitness education, calisthenics, it's just your body weight. So whether you have the different push-up heights, the lower one's obviously harder. The higher one, you're at more of an incline for the older people, or even if I broke my arm, I wouldn't want to do push-ups on the ground. I'd want to have a more elevated one to scale it.
Yep.
So, yeah, like Judy said, having stuff that's scalable with calisthenics is body weight. You could have little steps that are higher and lower.
Even for older age group.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For kids.
These prices seem very reasonable.
Yeah,
to me.
and within that, I know the shipping cost, and this is just the price of what this is.
Yep.
You have to factor in shipping,
Installation.
installation.
We should also look at Primex for insurance costs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there are rules for what you have to have under it, but he said that, and I think they actually had it at Dara Pond when they had the little pull-up stations that I remember. It's just wood chips.
Yep.
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 And there's a certain height on the indicator of the pole they wanted to go up to.
Yeah. We can get crazy and put like the rubber padding under it, but then that's pretty expensive. And Perry had suggested the wood chips would just for aesthetics,
Yep.
it would work well, and it's a lot cheaper.
I think what I like about that is it can be done pieces at a time too and added on to, depending on what
It's true. We can
grant
do
money we're
funding
able to
options
get.
that
It
gets all
doesn't
used.
have to be an all or nothing. And maybe once we get all the final billing in for pickleball, those impact fees, they expire in December. I did look into what happens. Can we carry them over, what's left over? They can be carried over, but we would have to go to Board of Selectmen and say, we've got $20,000 left over in impact fees. Our plan is to use it for new playground equipment, which I was looking into the impact fees and guidelines and everything, and we meet the requirements for that. Our town has grown significantly since the report was done. And then the Board of Selectmen can vote to allow that, let's say $20,000 to be carried over, but you can't carry it over for 6 years.
No.
Like you can carry it over, but you gotta have a plan, like we'd have to have a plan.
You have to earmark
Yes.
what you want it to
Yes.
be used for.
And then, I can't see it being voted down, but something to think about as we see once we have all those pickleball costs done, what that balance is. That might be something I can spend more time on that once pickleball's all done and out of the way. So soon, another month or so.
Yep, fingers
Yeah,
crossed.
I know, yeah.
Did Perry allude to the difference in either warranty or life expectancy of the wood versus the plastic?
Not in great detail. I did ask him just when we were driving around. I said, he said that the wood is, they must pressure treat it or something to bear the weather. I know off the top of the head, you would think the plastic ones would last longer. So that would be a question I could ask him.
Because I think they say most pressure treated's 30 years.
Yeah.
It's probably similar to what they would do with like a telephone pole, right?
I think, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, a telephone pole lasts pretty long.
That's in what, creosol, I think?
Yeah, I think.
Well, I like
They're
what you
impregnated
said.
with
It
something,
kind
yeah.
of fits into the environment nicely.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that. If there's a way to do something like that on the bike path, that it is visible, you don't have to worry if you're alone, like you said. People can ride their bikes, go station to station, or they can, if we put a few in front of the tennis courts when that's clear, people who don't live along Albuquerque have a place to park their car.
Yeah.
And they can pull out their bikes and ride to the stations or run, or makes it accessible to everyone.
You got a general sense that members feel this is a good idea to
Yeah.
further pursue?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, thank you for doing that.
Yeah, of course.
I appreciate it. I'm excited about something like that. We just only have so many volunteers and projects we can do all at one time.
sure.
But
Got to find a mechanism to pay for it.
Right, so on that, impact fees, so if you can look into that, that'd be fantastic.
I already did with Karen White.
So those are good to go.
Like I talked with her about what we need to do.
Yeah.
So we can carry over. We would have to kind of write up a plan though.
Yeah, so I do have a question on that. So we have,
Oh, okay.
we have a balance for the total bucket for the impact
Yeah.
fees, right? Now, my recollection was that the expiration date depends on when those funds were put into the impact fee.
I had asked Karen before we started with pickleball.
Yep.
And it's, she said end of December
End of
this
the
year.
year.
For all the funds, or does it it's kind of rolling based on when developers put in?
Well, it's when they come in, there's a time, so it could be different times, different values drop off.
So I'm thinking probably, if she said that, probably the last input of money would be the end of December.
So, so kind of the crux of my question is, say we have $100,000 in there. I know we don't. Does like $50,000 expire at the end of this year, or is the whole thing?
The whole
Because-
thing, whatever's left over.
Okay, so we're at the end for all the funds in the
Yeah.
impact.
Because we probably utilized a lot of them for Jeff Lane, the older funds, and these are the newer funds
Yeah.
that are going to expire.
Okay. That makes it easier, yeah.
So as long as we have a plan in place, and I
We can
don't,
encumber.
yeah,
Yep.
we'll go to Board of Selectmen. So from here, I'll talk with Jeff Blackwell and, see what he has to say. He'll have a better understanding of what land belongs to who and how far back we can go. You know, we know there's some areas, obviously, where there's like fencing and water under it that we can't, but, so I'll look into that.
So many feet off the center line, I can't remember how many off the center line it is.
Yeah.
And different roads are different, because if 3A is a different distance off the center line than a residential road is.
I think with having that tractor too, that we can do some of our own little site work if we needed to in some areas to level something out or.
Yeah, and then if along the bike path, if there are issues with land in front of the tennis court, like you mentioned, there already is some land
Yeah.
a little cleared.
Yep, but it's going to be all cleared so that we have better viewing into all the courts and anybody driving by can see if anything's going on that's not supposed to. So
Yeah.
that chunk of land may end up being a good spot to
Yeah, I would think so.
start.
That would kind of take care of the private property issue.
Yeah.
So-
And also what's nice about it, if people want to drive there, they have a place to park,
Right,
then
it's
get out
place
and
to park.
utilize it.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
So if-
Thanks for looking into it.
So if folks can take a look at those grants, impact fees notwithstanding, because there might be other projects that could be eligible for that, but if we got this opportunity right in front of us, and we've got use or lose funds, that's probably the best way to go to make sure we capture that.
Yeah, we don't want to
opportunity.
lose those funds.
We do
so.
not, no, we do
But
not.
we'll, in the next few weeks, as the bill's coming and everything gets finalized, we'll have a better idea of the number.
Yeah. And
But,
then just catch up with me via
I will.
email on anything I can do
Yep.
from here on.
Sure, yeah, so I think we'd want to enlist your help again, once we kind of figure this part out and we want to move ahead, we'd have to issue an RFP for something this expensive, so, we might want your help in designing that to kind of capture the wisdom that you've developed here for these spots. So, thank you so much for looking into
Yeah.
this.
Thank you for having me.
Wait,
Oh,
have you
sorry.
given any thought to being on the rec commission? As a member or an alternate? I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, you're
Like,
good. What would the schedule look like? What do I have to do outside of the meetings?
Yeah, so
As much or as little as you wish.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's,
2 Tuesdays a month.
if you have a conflict, you know, and you can't make one, you can't make one. But it varies, like Steve's on, he's a selectman, so he meets twice a month with the selectman, he meets twice a month with us. He's on the softball board, but he still does what he can with
Sure.
the rec commission, and I think it just varies from person to person, how much time you put into it.
So mandatory is 2 Tuesdays a month.
Second and fourth,
Over the summertime, it's just one.
one.
Yeah, in the summer it's once a month.
Yeah. And it's a lot of fun.
That's 7.
It's my favorite board.
I
You
know I
can watch.
I know I could do that. I
Yeah.
could definitely do the Tuesdays. Like be here today. I could do that.
yeah, we don't have any other like standing committees or anything like that. It's really just
It's just
ad hoc work.
us, and
Between
some of
meetings.
it's just approving facility use, and other it's, you know, we want to get more projects going.
Yeah, creativity on how to grow recreation for all demographics in town.
You can start off as an alternate, and see what it's all about, although I was an alternate for 1 week. And then,
You were just that impressive.
then I
Katie.
was then immediately put in, and then all of a sudden I was secretary before I knew it happened, but put as much or as little time, and it's good learning experience too, to see how town government works.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea.
So can I connect with you before the next meeting? And
Yes, of course.
all right, great.
Perfect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, I'll be in touch.
Chris, take care.
You too.
I'm excited.
Good job recruiting. I like that.
I know, I'm like putting him on the
Missed the
spot.
opportunity.
I'm an easy sell.
All right. So Harry, want to come on up and give us a fishtail? So your name and address for the record?
Harry Manzigian from the Conservation Commission. So first of all, I want to thank everybody who showed up and volunteered. That was a big help. So, and we had good weather, so,
Yeah.
and no bugs. So what we ended up having is 54 kids registered, which was the same as last year. The fish caught was considerably down this year. It was turned out to be approximately only about 25. And what happened was that the weather was the major problem. Monday, Matt and I think it was Matt and I, went down to the stream, and it wasn't a stream, it was a torrent. So, I got a text message from Jason Brennan that didn't make a lot of sense, so I called him and and talked to him, and when he said that he had checked the stream and it started dropping, and then we had the fish come in on Wednesday, but the stream was still pretty high, and we tried to put up a barrier, and so.
A lot of fish
But
out there freedom.
apparently, the kids had all a good, everybody had a good time. I didn't hear any complaints or,
Only one person fell in the water, and it was an adult.
Oh, that's good.
Only one person fell in the water, and it was an adult.
is that right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Fell
you
all the
missed-
way in.
All the way in?
You missed a kid crossing the stream?
Oh, I didn't see that. Well, there were quite a few kids crossing, although it was rushing kind
he
of
was
fast this year.
13-year-old, and he decided to cross the stream. But,
Got to get the right spot. I get it.
Pardon?
I said you got to get the right spot.
yeah, I guess. So, anyway, money-wise, between the two groups, we spent $806.30. You guys ended up spending $245 for the fish, which was split with the Conservation Commission, and then $155.98 for the posters and the bait. And you had allowed me $255, which I didn't need at all, which is good. So from that point, from that experience, things went a lot smoother this year, I have to admit. They went a lot easier, things ran smoother. We reduced the number of prizes from 12 to 6, and that went much better. Jeff Town had made up some sheets that went numerically addressed and had a little bit more information on there, and that worked out well. So all in all, based on the fact that we had to struggle with no budget and then a budget and then the weather and the rain and all that sort of stuff, things turned out pretty well. We're going to set a new date in October, and I'd like to see if I can find a new location. The brook has either got too much water early or not enough water too late. You know?
Yep.
That's what happens when you partner with Mother Nature. It's very inconsistent, you know? So I'm gonna try to look around and see if there's anything else that we can do, you know? I just have a question, for you guys, and it's only a question. I've been always avoiding the Saturday before Mother's Day. What's your gut feeling? I'm not saying I'm doing that, but I just need an opinion, a comment.
I think the Saturday, the day before, is fine.
Yeah.
I think so. I think it's as good or bad as the first Saturday in May. I think you'd have the
Yeah.
same conflicts that you
Yeah.
would.
Yeah.
I mean, I think your tough part is you're competing with all the sports that go on that morning. I think, if it wasn't that time of year, I think we'd get more kids coming out because there's a lot of conflicts. I mean, I know I was at baseball and softball both that
Baseball,
day.
softball,
Yeah.
soccer.
Soccer, lacrosse, I
We
mean,
had
there's.
some kids come over in their uniform in between.
Yeah,
games.
because all depends on what time the game is and so forth. So I think that's what keeps the number in the 50s,
Yeah.
is because of the
Well,
conflict.
last year, we did it on the,
It is manageable. 54 is a good number. It's not crazy. There's not kids on top of each other, people hooking each other.
last year, we did it on the 20th, and it was toasty warm, and we had soccer. This year, we did it on the 6th, and we ran into Londonderry Fishing Game Club.
That's right, they
Kept
did
the
this.
numbers down too, so.
Yep.
Like I said, we're just gonna try to see if we can find a new location that's a little less intense, how you like that for a word, huh? That doesn't require so much of the town facilities, but actually, I've been and I don't know what's gonna happen with this. I saw the retention pond on Wilson Farms field that's up the road from Nessenkeg. And I've been hesitant to go out there because I didn't want to trespass. But I said, what the hell? What's the worst they could do to me, right? So I looked at the pond
Rock salt.
and I didn't hear that, not a
I said rock salt.
So I looked at the pond, and that retention pond is a pretty good-sized retention pond. And so I need to still get hold of the farm manager. I also need to find out if the retention pond is spring-fed. Initial looking, and I looked from the car, it doesn't appear to be spring-fed, but I don't know. There's a lot of I don't knows. So let me get hold of them and talk to them and all that sort of stuff. The other interesting thing that came up when I was talking to the state is that you still can apply for a fishing derby permit on private land, okay? If the permit is on private land and the person that owns the land doesn't wish to open the fish open, the only consequence is that the state won't supply fish. That's not really a deal breaker. So you buy a little more fish, something like that. Well, and I didn't realize that that was even an option. I always thought that if you did a fishing derby and got a permit, you always had to open it up to the public, so we'll see,
What prevents us from using Darrah Pond?
Pardon?
What prevents us from using Darrah Pond?
My understanding is that it is spring-fed, however, there is a tremendous amount of milfoil,
There is a lot of milfoil, yes, that needs to be cleaned.
and I've talked to a couple people, and maybe I need to talk to the state, but they don't think that that's suitable for trout. That's one
Okay,
problem.
all right.
Second problem is, I don't think the beach can handle 50 kids.
Yeah, it may not. That shoreline
Yeah.
can get much
Yeah.
smaller.
Right,
with
yeah,
ponds.
you'd have to clear some land going around it in order to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't think there is the land around it workable so that we
If
could,
you go halfway down on the right, it ends up to be private property.
Yeah.
And I don't know how far to the left.
Not very, I don't think.
Oh, you think it's pretty quickly?
Private?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never really walked to the left. I've walked to the right
No,
before,
but-
down to where the dock is. That's
You go
private.
Past the basketball courts, it's.
That's the right I'm thinking. You go that way,
Oh, the way-
you go that way, you'll end up hitting a dock, and I know that is a sign saying private property. I'm saying going the other way. I don't know how far you can go the other way.
yeah, I had considered, Steve, Darrah Pond, and there just seems to be more negatives than
Yeah.
pluses.
Well, we eventually have to do something about the milfoil anyway, so I don't know if it becomes
Yeah,
sustainable at that point. Is it a place we could actually do it?
yeah.
Utilize a piece of water we already
Well, I
have.
guess, from what I understand, is that I guess there's largemouth bass in there, and there is, bluegills and that kind of stuff that survive, but with a,
Be a bass fishing tournament, right?
Absolutely.
Stocking with bass.
so I think space would be more of a
More of an issue.
deterrent over there than anything else.
Is there
So,
anything that would limit us from using boats?
as far as, and this is only a recommendation, as far as budgeting for next year, looking at the cost of everything, and I'm sure the fish will go up, but if
And the
you
worms.
folks
And the worms.
budget about $750 and we stayed at $750, I think that would be more than sufficient.
All right,
1,500,
We'll start
yeah.
our budgeting in a little bit. Chris, did you have a question?
I did, yeah, I was just asking, in terms of, Darrah Pond, is there anything that would prohibit us from using boats, or having people bring canoes or little rowboats?
Pardon?
Rather-
I'm sorry.
Would they be able to, if we use Darrah Pond, would they be able to bring rowboats or canoes or anything to be out on the water rather than just limit it to the
Oh, on a
land?
fishing derby?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. No.
Oh, no? Really?
I
I
guess
guess
that's
that's
a
a hard no.
Yeah. Wouldn't have known.
I remember doing it as a
Judy,
kid.
would you show him some of the pictures that you took? That should answer the question.
no. With the kids. Well, they would have to be in the boat with a parent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my thought, and then. you
Just to
could
get
do-
more space than being on the shoreline, right? A
Right.
couple canoes out there, a flat bottom boat.
Yeah, you could do prizes for fish caught with boat and prizes for fish caught in the land, and.
With our luck, half of them would fall in. And,
Turn into a swimming lesson,
Yeah.
right?
Well, certainly if there's anything on town properties that are of interest, like circle back to us so we can scope it out and see what may be feasible.
yeah.
And for private ones, if you need.
The other
help
thing
getting
too,
connections.
that I just want to bring up, I just joined a group in the state called Let's Go Fishing program.
Yep.
And what that does is that teaches kids how to fish. I've got to find out more about it. Now, I don't know, this is what I don't know. I don't know if you have to work it through the schools or you can work it through the town. I don't know. So I would suspect if you can work it through the town, I'll be up in front of you guys again to see what we can work out.
I think you told us about this last year.
Yeah, I just actually found my handout about it.
Yeah, only just things, I'll find out more information in June about it and find out. And I'll get hold of Wilson Farm and as, you know, nothing ventured, nothing gained,
Very good.
so. Any questions?
I just had one comment.
Yes,
The kids wore name tags and then had a number on them. Like, I think when they registered, they were assigned a number and
yeah,
on their name tag. Is it possible to just have them wear the name tag, the tag with their number? I just don't like to post pictures of kids with their name on there. So before I posted anything, I either asked the parents to take off the name tag, or if I got pictures with the name tag, I went through them and blotted it all out. It's just not a good idea for us to post pictures where it puts a child's face with a name. And to just, you could still have them sign up their name on the sheet and Sarah's number 27, and then her sticker just says 27, but
Well,
it doesn't say
I'll
Sarah.
tell you the truth, with the number, it made it much, much easier to track when the kids brought the
Yeah.
fish up. Much easier. As far as putting their name on it, that's great, it's one less thing for,
Yeah,
Sure.
I just think it makes it a little safer
I think so
to
too.
put pictures up.
Yep.
yeah, because there was a photographer, did you see him down
Yeah.
there?
But and a lot of pictures were posted with kids'
With names.
faces and names, and there's just, anybody can access
Well,
sites and that, and
Cause-
it's a legitimate
Yep.
concern.
yeah, because I asked, you know, who was he? And I finally went up to him and said, I'll be politically correct here. Who the hell are you? What are you doing here? Because there was no mention of anybody taking,
Yeah.
other than Judy, you know. We know how reliable she is, right? You know? So, yeah, we can eliminate the first name. And I thought of that too. But those are the things you know,
Every year you're gonna learn more and more, right? This was easier than last year, next year should be easier.
Great, yep.
yeah, it certainly is a, you know, an exciting thing that like I said, every year you learn more and more.
Well, it was a great day, and we appreciate what you've done to make it happen.
Yeah.
Well,
A lot of kids
I
out
a lot
there.
of work.
Showing up.
Oh, you betcha, yeah, absolutely.
You know, that made, it did make all the difference in the world. It, 'cause I ended up, and Matt and I were doing the registering, and the kids would run up, you know, and say, well, I've got this problem, or I gotta unhook this fish, or,
Sure.
you know, and you were down there helping, and, Frank was there, and Matt helped, and that, you know, 'cause if you have somebody consistent that can record.
Sure.
it makes it, and the kids were all very happy with their, prizes, so. that-
Very good.
So,
Well,
We'll
nice
see.
job,
thank you.
thank you. All right, so we'll.
Thanks, Harry, take care.
Have a good night.
Continuing on, the next item we have is on the fee policy. We'll let Judy pop back in, but if you just wanna, well, I guess you passed out our hard.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, although not here, caught one error on it in category A. The second sentence should be non-Litchfield-based community groups. So this is for non-Litchfield, but charitable organizations, essentially. And Judy, I was noting that Jeff sent along a correction for the fee policy.
Oh, okay.
That category A, the second sentence should read off non-Litchfield based community groups, yada, yada. But otherwise, I believe I captured the changes we discussed last time. One, to open it up for discussion. If this is in a draft, folks are comfortable with advancing.
I think it captures everything we talked about.
Yeah, looks good.
So I think, this is kind of a first step to really move forward on this issue, which we've been dogged with for quite some time. And this is just a policy. We're not putting it into our bylaws. We can come back and amend it whenever we feel we need to. But at least this, I think, sets some context for how and when we assess fees for use of the facilities.
And I think those fees can help with some park maintenance. Like, we don't have a fund if something breaks in the playground. We don't have any funding with the tennis courts that are all cracked and grass growing up in the middle of them.
Irrigation issues, I mean, a lot of different things we would capture with it.
Yeah, so it's flexible funding. We go into the revolving fund, so certainly could be value. All right, can I ask for a motion to adopt the policy?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
All right, any discussion?
If this passes, when would it become effective immediately? Or does it have to go through another? We can just do our own policy like this. It doesn't have to go through the Board of Selectmen or,
No.
Rec manages their own property.
okay.
Under RSA, it's
I don't
under,
know.
yeah.
Not that I can envision having any events there, but should we consider maybe adding the river access to this just to cover it?
So that would,
Isn't that conservation land?
Conservation land, but
It's
We maintain it.
maintained by recreation, I think is the way the agreement went.
yeah,
which I don't know what that means, because conservation guys go down and mow it and remove all
Yeah,
that.
take care of everything.
Yeah. It is technically conservation land, so I don't know if there are different guidelines for having events on
I think
conservation
conservation
land.
falls under their own RSA also.
yeah, it's a good question, though, because
Yeah.
it's a number of other properties, right, that would be relevant for.
I mean, pickleball may be something that, the pickleball courts too.
That falls
some-
into Sawmill, I would assume.
Yep, so,
Oh, yeah.
Because it's part of it, yeah.
Sawmill and or Town Hall.
Okay.
Depending if they're indoor or outdoor.
They're a recreation group anyway, right? They would fall under us, so
yeah, they would.
would fall under the,
So, yeah, if there's
But it could be
some-
somebody else wanting to come in there, right, and use it as
Like,
a,
didn't the Bruins farm team from Maine reach out to the LPA about a pickleball tournament?
I think that's what they said.
And I was like, how do they even know we're gonna have pickleball courts?
Travel.
Word is spread all the way to Maine. Yeah, I guess we could just leave that under sawmill, and then if we think it's something that needs to be its own thing.
Any suggested changes or further discussion?
So should you just make the motion just with the edit to make that
Yes.
line A and non-Litchfield?
Non-Litchfield. So anybody using it right now who may be profit or not part of Litchfield, they're kind of grandfathered in till the end of their request? Is that what it would be? And if they filled out a new request, then they would fall under this?
That sounds like a
Yeah.
reasonable way to proceed.
Okay.
Hold harmless to anybody who's already been approved for anything.
Right.
Yep.
I think it's just one team, right? Right now? That's non-Litchfield.
Fusion.
is.
And I think from a naming standpoint, it's Kurt Schaefer Memorial Fields, and I think Justin Bissett is the Justin Bissett Memorial Baseball Complex. I think is what the actual names are gonna be, or are.
Thank you.
And is Scott Innes Memorial Park?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I've never played on it.
No. I've just been down to the shed to get stuff.
So the top of the chart says Campbell High School. That's not gonna be.
We can write the recreation properties or,
Further discussion or changes? We'll add the edits that have been
Yep.
discussed.
Right.
Ready for the call? All those in favor, signify by raising your hand.
aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Policy passes 400.
Thanks
right.
for your work on that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Peter. That
Well,
was
it's been
great.
a long time coming, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of work.
Well, it dragged it along a little bit longer than I would have liked, but at least this definitely is a step to take, especially as we're building up better facilities, you know, which brings us to our next item.
We have plenty of people that want to utilize them.
Absolutely, pickleball court updates. So Chris and Judy.
Yeah, so following along with the missing field and facility requests from the from the last meeting, I did reach out to Ron, gave him a heads up that the courts will not be ready by the time their I think it was June 3rd event was going to happen. He was fine with that. He's going to push it off, and he'll resubmit on that. As Judy mentioned, the painting, the lines have all been finished, so that should be done. I did hear from that contractor about the nets, so the plugs are in for the nets, and the posts actually slide into them so that they don't have to disrupt anything. He was asking if we want to go ahead and have the nets installed now, or wait and have them come back once the fencing is all up. The fencing contractor is still a couple weeks out from being able to get back here to wrap that up. So I'm estimating probably second, possibly third week in
Can,
June for that. So
can we, are the fences things we can, I mean, the nets, something we can install, put in and take out ourselves like we do with the tennis court nets?
I would imagine the netting, yeah, we can take down and put back in ourselves. There's really no reason we would have to take the posts out, unless we wanted to
Right.
do something else with that, but the way
I
the
mean, I'd
fencing
hate
is
to
set
have
up.
all the fencing up and then, oh, you can't play because there's no nets.
Yeah, yeah.
They can't come back for another week and a half. I don't
What's the
know
other-
what you're.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
so, I mean, the fencing, there's no gate on the fence to lock people out.
Right.
You know, so I don't really see a difference. It may prevent somebody from going in and doing any damage if they have ill intent, but, may make them think twice if the fencing is up.
Well, the
as
fencing's up
opposed
to
to
keep
the
vehicles
fencing.
off it or anything
Mm-hmm.
to that extent,
Yeah.
right? If somebody
The
just
police have
drives a
been
little too far.
patrolling it and watching it. I let them know when
So.
when the painting started, and so there've been no more issues down there.
Yeah, so I haven't answered him on that yet. I wanted to get the feel of the committee before I did that. You know, maybe even if it's something we need to vote on, I'm not sure, but, what do you think? Should we,
I don't mind if they give
Hold
us
off.
the nets and we put them up ourselves so we have them, or so that once the fencing's up.
well, they gotta install the
what?
posts too.
Oh, the
so
posts,
They gotta
okay.
put the posts in for the nets.
Okay,
And it's something that we're paying for, so I'd rather have them do it the
Okay.
first time.
Yeah.
Just do it right the first time, and then we can,
so what would be the disadvantages of having them do it right now while they can?
I mean, I think people are gonna start using it immediately.
Yeah.
They
that
will,
would
they'll
be,
just have
uh,
to chase
They're
their
gonna use it
balls,
even if there's no fence going around it yet.
right?
Yeah.
They'll just have to chase their balls.
Yeah.
yeah, so,
So when does the fencing contract, I think they're gonna get there?
like I said, he's a couple weeks out, so
Couple weeks,
I'm guessing probably second week in June.
June, okay.
Yeah, so he's probably.
So hopefully
he's
we'll be ready
he's
to go by
probably 2 or
July
3
4th.
weeks. I spoke to him, I think it was the last week, so he's probably another 2 weeks out.
Another 2
So,
weeks.
yeah, so, it's just my rough guess.
Yep.
So, I know we still got some work to do down there ourselves. We got the handicap signs,
Yep.
that Judy has and trying to figure out the best way to put those up. You were talking, I think you would reach out to somebody about lining the parking
Yeah,
spaces.
so, Jeff referred me to Industrial Traffic Lines. It's I guess a local guy who does all our lining in town.
Okay.
And he said maybe, the next time he does lining in town, he can come and take care of those spots. So I did call, I haven't heard anything back, but I'll follow up.
Do we need to have the line, it's probably a question for Jeff,
I think as long as we have a plan for them and we have to have the signs up.
we can open,
Yeah.
okay. I did reach out to a sign vendor, and he came down and looked at the court, got a sense for the layout and everything. We discussed the rules of play signs, court conduct, that type of thing. And just about a half an hour ago, I forwarded out an email that, I slipped my mind to forward it on, the other day, but Ron from LPA gave us some rough drafts on the rules, for us to review, and it even has the QR code on it, which, will get them to their website and see the calendar and stuff. So, I don't know if that verbiage is something we have to vote on, or,
We talked about it last
Yeah.
meeting, right? All of that?
So are these,
Oh,
The verbiage and the
the big
signs.
sign.
it's being
for the
posted?
big signs,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
that
We
they,
wanted a QR code for, right to their Google site, and a QR code
so he sent 2
was
documents.
back in for our whole conservation and recreation
Yeah.
complaint or maintenance required.
Yep, he
We
I
want
sent,
to
can
put both
give you-
QRs on it.
he sent 2 documents. One is the policy of play for courts 1 through
Yeah.
4, which is the LPA reserved courts. There's a little bit going on, but, the QR code is a link to, the LPA website. So that if you are interested in becoming a member, you can look at it there. And you can also get to the calendar, because you can do that through their website to see when courts are reserved. They do mention the Sign Up Genius, reserving the courts 1 through 4.
Now, I used to be able to access that, and I went through to try today.
You can't anymore?
I could not.
Really?
What came up was the town calendar of use, like the big calendar, but I did not see Sign Up Genius anywhere. And I was able to access it in the past and click on it and see the times and when it was taken, but I couldn't sign up because I couldn't sign in as a member.
So the general outline for the conduct, or the rules of play, I guess, are, the players are required to provide their own paddles. They avoid interfering play with their neighboring court. Do not attempt to retrieve your ball from an adjacent court during play on that court. Alert players immediately if the ball goes on their court, so that they can stop the game from injury. At any time when more than 16 players are present, the following rules will apply. A player shall not play more than 2 games in a row following a game. Only winners will remain on the court, and split sides for the following game. If a winner has played 2 consecutive games, they will exit the court and wait their turn for the next available game. Games will end when one team reaches 11 points.
So is that all gonna be on a separate sign?
That's gonna be on one sign for, well,
Oh, okay.
this is
I
what he
thought
said,
that
yeah.
was gonna be, like, we were gonna have a QR code to their site with that information.
So
So
this is-
that's
this
in
is one
addition to,
This is one sign, courts
Okay.
1 through 4.
Yeah, and the QR code's in the bottom of the
QR
sign.
code's at the bottom of the sign. He's got a bullet point about the Sign Up Genius, a bullet point about new players and how to reach out to the Pickleball Association, and then the QR code.
And I think the only thing we wanted to add was our QR code
well,
for,
we had discussed this last week, and I only have the one copy. The courts open dawn to dusk. Courts are for use by Litchfield Pickleball Association, Litchfield residents and their guests. Soft-soled athletic shoes only, no glass bottles, no pets, no skateboards, bikes, skateboards, or motorized vehicles. Remove trash. And then, what our other signs have, emergency, call 911, witnessed vandalism, call LPD,
Okay.
and then
Can you
our QR.
forward me that document? And I'll either add it to what they're saying here or come up with, that's more of like a.
This
code
is like
conduct.
I think
just
we
more
need-
general sign like we have
Yeah.
at our other
Yeah,
facilities.
yep.
Yep.
Like,
I
keeping
think we
it
need both
simple and to
signage.
the
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
So there is another sign that he sent me for the courts 5 and 6, which are the town courts. And essentially, it's the same, as far as the bullet points, about bringing your own paddles and not interfering with the neighboring courts. More than 8 players are present, don't play more than 2 games, that type of stuff.
Do we need that for 5 and 6? Do you think, because we had talked about adding onto this one for 5 and 6
Yeah.
at least, like a 2-game limit when somebody's waiting.
waiting.
Yeah.
Or do
I
we
would
want it
think-
all that detailed?
I would think, yeah, this one can be a little more generalized and go onto that document.
We might want to grab some of the verbiage here and just add it to that one.
Yeah.
Blend the two together.
Then they also included the QR code for the LPA on this sign as well. I don't think we need that. We can put our QR code on there for the Recreation Committee or for the reporting.
I just gotta figure out where to get the QR code, like, and copy it in, but Jay can do that since he's made the signs before, so.
So when we were down at the courts with the sign vendor, we looked at the tennis court and they do have a sign that's up there, so we were thinking just pretty general to that sign, as
Yeah.
far as the aesthetics go. These would be a little larger than what's on the tennis court fence. And then I also asked about getting just smaller signs for just court numbers 1 through 5.
Yeah.
Or 1 through 6, rather. Just so we can name each court so that there's no confusion on which court is which when.
Should we add the recreation seal to the signs?
I don't mind that.
Yeah, where can I get that?
You have it right here.
Google.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, but this is I just hit make a copy from, the last agenda and then.
Well, then somewhere you must have the JPEG of it, right? In order to copy and paste it.
Well, he must.
Somebody has it
That's a dig. Something like that, yeah. Got some more.
floating around somewhere.
I did have one question on the policy for courts 1 through 4. I think we had talked about last time that when they are not in use, they're open to
Yes.
residents. So I'd prefer to have that explicit on there because as you read it, the first bullet and then the sign-up genius, look at like, it sounds like it's restricted,
Yeah.
Yes.
which it is when it's
I got the
reserved.
same
but,
idea.
Yeah.
Right.
So
But
just-
when it's reserved, they can't be on there, but if they're open,
If it's open, yeah, we just
Yeah.
want people to feel welcome that they can jump on if they.
right, it's that way with, if somebody wants to go play on the baseball field, and even though baseball has it reserved 7 days, if there's no practice or game,
Exactly.
kids can go play kickball on there.
I thought the original one they showed us and said it may be used by Litchfield residents.
I don't recall, but
I think that was their opening. Judy may have it over there.
You know what, I cleaned through this today. And I didn't keep it.
Because I thought it said courts 1 through 4 are open for play for members of the Litchfield Pickleball Association and may be used by Litchfield residents when not in use or something to that extent.
Yeah,
that sounds right.
yeah.
And then this one that came back today doesn't have that may portion on it,
Right.
which speaks back to the point you were making.
Their original for 5 and 6 said, courts 5 and 6 are open for play for any individual regardless of place of residence, and that's not correct, right? It's for residents and their guests. We don't want people coming from all over
Yep.
taking up court space.
And I think that's what Roy Memorial says also, for residents and their guests.
Yeah.
When you go in on the left-hand side.
Right. Not for, I mean, when I went down, I've been going down and checking, and this car pulled up and asking me all about it, and they're like, yeah, we drove over from Drake, and I'm thinking, are you kidding? Like, there's no pickleball courts between here and Drake, like,
There may not be.
but yeah, just the river access is the same thing, Litchfield residents and
It
their
says
guests.
residents only on that one.
Oh, it does? I
Yes,
thought it
it's
was-
Litchfield residents only.
Okay. So, I think that's important. I don't think it should say regardless of place of residence, especially, that's a big buck item, and that wasn't tax money.
Yep.
Yeah, no. All right, so Chris, you gonna make the changes or communicate back to them?
Yep, yeah, if you'll
And
send me
then I will
that,
send you this,
send me that, and I'll,
and I will, get that QR code on there, and I'll see if I can find the recreation logo.
yep. Once we finalize the verbiage, I'm gonna send it off to the sign vendor to get the pricing
Okay.
for it, so. Yeah, he wanted to hold off until we do that, cause he's not sure how much he has to print on it and everything else, so.
Will he do the pricing and do a mock-up of it?
All right, anything else on pickleball?
Don't believe so. Not from,
Oh, I just wanted to ask, like the softball, those metal storage boxes you have for the bases and stuff?
Yep, the gang boxes.
Yeah, we had talked about something so that we could put all the nets in there over the winter tennis too. Where did those come from? Do you know? Like, where do
you can
you?
get them at hardware stores.
Hardware
Big
stores,
box.
I-line. I mean, there's a lot of places. They're very big on construction sites.
Yep,
They call it a
Okay.
gang box.
gang box.
Bunch-
Game?
Gang.
Gang.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a bunch of different people use it. They can put their tools in it. They get padlocked.
Do you know about how much they cost?
Tell you.
I'd guess
I mean, I was trying to come up with all these
$300 to
different
$600.
names to, Google it, and I wasn't finding what I was looking for. Just so I have an idea, and I can look into getting that.
Depending on what you do, I see them everywhere from $200 to $975.
Okay, that's what I was kind of
Yep.
seeing.
Like the ones that we already have down at Roy Memorial, they're about, looking at them here, they're probably about $650.
Okay, and I think the 2 tennis nets and all the pickleball nets would roll up into there?
Into 2 of them? I don't know. The tennis nets are about this big when they're all rolled up.
Oh, yeah.
So you can get them in different sizes. I mean, Tractor Supply has one here that's 48 by 24 by 28. And then there's other ones that are bigger, smaller. So they're all over the place. Like there's one here at Uline that is a knack box, which are the very expensive ones.
So you think I can find something for 500 to 600?
Probably.
Okay.
yeah.
And most of them are 4 feet by 2 feet by a little more than 2 feet, almost 3
All
feet.
right.
I'd recommend the angled top rather than the
Angled
flat top,
Okay.
so that they don't get buried with the snow and,
Water doesn't sit on them.
water doesn't sit on them, but also it gives you more height.
Okay.
So-
And I always want to throw a first aid kit in there too, because I think 1 through 4 are going to be heavily used every day. So that if something happens there.
And you were looking at trash barrels too, right?
I picked up trash barrels.
You did?
I have
Okay.
it lower on the list for reimbursement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know the ones you get with the dome covers, the dome cover costs more than the barrel costs.
Is that right?
I didn't get the same ones, and I can return them for price reasons, but also, we're not gonna have, I don't think we're gonna have the trash issues that we do at Dara.
But we found that the dome ones work the best because they don't fill with water. So if you get the ones that just have the lid, the cap on it, people always leave the lid in the ground. Next thing you know, they fill up with water. So we bought the ones that have the dome caps on all the
Dome
different
cap.
rec ones, right? And then we actually,
That's sold separate, the dome cap?
yeah, and those caps, you can probably buy 2.5 barrels for the price of the cap.
Yeah, well, when I was looking at that, they were really
So-
expensive, but I thought with there, I was gonna use the bungee to attach one side of the cover to the handle. And
Yeah,
then
we tried that at the different ball fields and they just got filled with
So
water.
get the dome
The
cap?
dome caps, and we actually, the last ones that Rec bought, we got them through Dave Mellon. He went back into waste management, who takes care of all our waste.
Yeah.
And he
Okay,
was able to get them at a reduced cost.
okay,
Because I know in baseball, when we went and bought, I think we bought like 4 of them, and it ended up costing us over $600
okay.
because of the domes. But then what we did is we tapped the backside of it, and we were able to secure it, and we have a chain that only actually holds the cap. It's like steal the barrel, don't steal our dome covers.
Okay. All right, I'll check with him. I'll return what I have.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get them from him then.
Yeah, if he can still do it, 'cause he did that last time before the wreck.
Okay,
Remember when we got all the new smaller dumpsters?
Yep.
He was able to get so many barrels at that time also.
okay.
All right, anything else on pickleball?
I believe so.
All right. Well, the last comment I'll make is, you know the thing, like when you buy a car, you start seeing that model everywhere? I've seen so many pickleball stories, like in the last couple weeks.
Oh, how they're taking over malls now and everything? They're
Yes,
gonna be
they
like,
are.
Oh, really?
yeah,
Old Navies and,
Sears?
Really?
yeah, stores that have gone, big
Indoor.
stores that have gone out of business, they're putting
good idea.
courts in there,
Yeah.
and it's like every professional athlete in their off-season is playing
Pickleball.
pickleball. And now I'm seeing all the memes, and
Mm-hmm.
who sent me one? Did you? With the pickleballs hanging like in the garage or the
No, that wasn't
basement?
That was Andy, yeah.
It was Andy, I think, that said that.
It's good.
But yeah,
Clearly
like
we're-
our timing is
Absolutely.
right
Yep.
on.
Things. All right, next on the chessboard, so we had Mac in last time, and he was looking at either Dara or the Musterfield.
And the Musterfield is not an option because they're looking at making it on the National Historic Register. So they're not gonna want anything there like that. We had said we were okay with War Memorial Park, but visibility, we were worried about
Mhm.
it being damaged. But then, that's something else we could have in front of the tennis courts if we're clearing an area there. Or if the veterans are going through with their park thing here, that would be kind of cool.
It'd be nice
to
up
That'd be
have
nice,
there,
yeah.
It'd be nice
here
up there.
too. People could drive up, and I even thought, you know, we could get some extra chess or checker players, and this hallway's always open, and have like a little bin. People wanted to come over and grab them. I think it'd be kind of a nice place to hang out. So, Mac and his mom already know that the Musterfield, it can't be done there, and they know why. But I didn't bring up any other options to them because we hadn't talked about it, and so I don't know if you want me to pursue either of those with them, just because I'm worried about it being damaged at.
How about down on the shore of River Access? It's a quiet little place. There's a picnic table down there. At least there used to be.
Picnic table, there was a picnic
I
table?
thought there was one down there on the
There's
right-hand
some
side.
benches.
Bench.
Oh, it was a bench.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a bench
Somebody-
then,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, my concern with that is in the springtime, that always floods,
Yeah.
so you don't want.
Or could you put one higher up by where where you first go in and park?
Up by the parking lot?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
could do that up by the stone.
So- Yep.
Yeah, and
The stone and everything for
Jason
John
had
Bryant.
mentioned Moore's Falls
It's another
also,
great
but
spot.
there's no covered area. It would be awful hot all
Yeah,
Yeah.
summer.
yeah,
Unless somebody wants to
And I
build a
thought
little
with the
pavilion
trees
over
out
it.
here,
yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
it might be nice covered
So
area.
Be
I
nice
like
there.
the idea of having it out here because if the park goes in up there, it'd be a good
Yeah.
fit for that. It's nice and peaceful and quiet there.
Yeah.
My concern with Roy is just being hidden kind of off in the distance.
Yeah, it is, and I'm afraid kids are gonna
Vandalism, that
climb
type
on
of
it.
thing. The sawmill, the noise of the pickleballs isn't gonna be very peaceful with
Right.
them sitting out
But
there. And then
here,
if the gym
it
goes
would
in
be,
over
it's
there.
kind
great.
of a nice
Yeah, yeah.
spot, but who manages that land? Who's it under?
Town.
Town. So,
I think the gazebo falls under the Board of Selectmen.
okay. So I'll talk with her, and would he have to come into the Board of Selectmen, or did the Selectmen approve the veterans doing that already? Or I'd hate to have it be something that's,
I don't think anything's ever come through. I think everything for the veteran park has all just been conceptual.
okay,
And once they figure out they're gonna bring plans forth, they'll go to the planning board, they'll come to the Board of Selectmen, there's a process. But right now, I think they're just coming up with conceptual designs.
So the thing I'll say is this is for his sophomore project, right? So he needs to get moving.
So we gotta find, we have to find a
I
spot
think the
for it.
river
soon.
access would be a great spot.
I do,
That's-
back up by
yeah.
where the stone is.
By where the stone is. I mean, it is in the sunlight there, but
except for you can't get down there, like, there's been some nice weekends, and I have it later on here, it was just officially opened.
Yeah, so it's usually we're open from June to
Depending on the-
November-ish.
yeah.
Depends how the river is.
Yeah.
Because when we were having nice weather, the fire department said, no, not yet.
But
No.
December to May, I mean, you might get a nice May day, but
Yeah.
April in New England can be beautiful.
So, river access would be conservation.
That's what I would think, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Morse Falls is also conservation.
Conservation.
And Morse Falls is.
Too bad we couldn't find a nice little spot down by Parker Park, because you have the brook running through right
Yeah.
there, and
Yeah.
Sure.
What about up at the top of the trail?
Up the trail. Oh,
Top of the trail near the
drop when you
parking lot?
park right here.
Well, we
it's
did
not going
give
up here, right?
permission for,
You know, another nice spot would be, once it gets going, the community garden.
yeah,
There's a lot of shade there, too.
I just don't know how soon he has to have his location.
probably sooner or later. That's my biggest concern.
Yeah.
So I feel like we
I'll-
told him Dar was okay, so I'd like to stick with that if the other options don't work out for his
Mm-hmm.
timeline.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'll let her know. I'll put Jay back in touch with her. I'll shoot her an email
Okay,
and let
thank
her
you.
know. And
'Cause we do
then
have a lot of
Maybe at some
options.
point, those spots, if, it is out in the sun, conservation has more money than we do. They could put up just some kind of little overhang gazebo or something. If they wanted it shaded.
Yeah.
It would be cool to have that, though.
And there's plenty of local businesses that are always willing to help, especially when it's going to be for a sophomore project.
All right, thank you, Judy.
Yeah, and then if he wants it at Dara, then it's already approved there. We just said that before he's ready to go, to contact someone, and we'll walk over with him and find the best spot.
That's right. All right, thank you. So field and facility requests, we only have one, but it's got multiple dates, so Steve, I'll turn to you.
At our last meeting, we discussed about New England Fusion Softball wanting to partner with LGSL. Judy gave us the history that New England Fusion Softball was actually created from Litchfield people, Londonderry people that aged out of the Blast program and were looking for a tournament ball.
It's like a two-combo town thing.
Yeah, it is, and, and look at the board of directors, there's still a couple people that were Litchfield residents that are still sitting on the board there. So they wanted to partner together, so in return for us letting them use their fields, they are going to give LGSL 2 temporary fences for softball field to be ours. We also, during these events, LGSL will be able to run the concession stand, so that money would go
Yeah,
back into us.
Yeah, that's-
On the Fusion teams, the 14, 16, 18, there's a good portion of Litchfield residents that are on that. So we as a board said that we approve them using it, so this was just to clean it up and put in the formal field request. The certificate of insurance will be here by the end of the week. They just had to add us to the policy, the town of Litchfield. So we have 5 different dates, June 16th to the 18th, June 29th to July 2nd, July 14th to the 16th, July 21st to the 23rd, and July 28th to the 30th. Members of LGSL will be there during these events. The New England Fusion will be bringing in their own porta potties, their own umpires, their own lime, everything to take care of the fields. So they're going to be supplying almost everything. And also on top of this, they're going to run clinics for anybody in Litchfield from a softball standpoint that want to go out and have more skills. So they're going to bring the 18s and 16s in to run clinics for us.
Nice, while those terms are going on?
No, with this later in the summertime.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
summer. So they want to really partner back because, if, as the Blast program goes, it stops at 12U.
Yep.
the ladies have no place to go, and that's kind of was the feeding ground going back in, and they want to keep that connection to Litchfield going within the New England Fusion.
Well, it sounds like it's a mutually beneficial,
Yeah.
It is, yeah, and the 18 coach actually lives in Litchfield for the Fusion, yeah.
Who's that?
You were gonna ask
Is
me.
it Mike Cooper?
No, he's actually the president of New England Fusion.
Oh, okay.
I'll let you know in one moment. Where is he?
Oh, you don't have to look now.
No, I can
I
tell
don't
you in
want to
2
take up-
seconds.
Everybody's time. I was just curious.
It's a good thing Andy's not here.
Freddie Rivera. Yep, of the 18U team.
Do we know how many teams are involved with these tournaments?
One of them's gonna be the college showcase, so I'm assuming you're
I
probably
think
gonna.
that's great. I think we
You're gonna
need
have
more of
anywhere
that
from
in town.
4, I'm assuming most of these will be 4 to 8 teams.
My-
And they're only gonna utilize 2 fields,
Yeah,
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
so my concern is just trash.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's part of it's gonna be they have to maintain the trash and everything for it and take care of that.
Okay.
But they seem to be good stewards of the field. I mean, they're already down there measuring the fields, trying to help out. They even,
They made it
after
look
you and I
great the
had the
other
issue,
day.
after you and I had the issues, I've had 4 people reach out, next time reach out to us and we'll come down and help you, so,
Yeah, they made
Yeah,
it look
so-
great the other day.
yeah. So, it worked out well.
And none of this conflicts with,
None whatsoever. 16th through the 18th, the rec that's the last weekend of rec, but all of our teams are actually away that weekend.
okay.
So it works out well. Other than that, we have nothing. If the Blast does do a tournament, I think we are. It's going to be the weekend of August 5th, and we'll bring that request forward. So we may do our own tournament here
That
to
would be
end the
nice
season.
to have again.
Yeah, have it back again. So that's what we're looking for. But that'd be the August 5th weekend, which is after the last weekend they're asking for.
Gonna get a motion for the request as it was laid out.
I make a motion that we accept all 5. Can we do it all in one?
Yeah.
All 5 requests,
1 second.
Pending the COI.
pending the COI. Yeah, and I have that there.
All right,
second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Passes 4-0. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, new business. Let's come back on John Bryant River Access.
So, somebody had sent something in a message that the gate was open.
That was me.
You.
Yeah.
I checked with Litchfield Fire Department. He said absolutely not. They did not open it. So somebody opened it.
They got the key to that high security lock.
Well, I don't know what the lock looks like. Anyway, so they said no, but then they did grant permission. They said it's right, it's good now. The water flow is fine, it's good to use, but they wanted to know, there was no lock on it. Do they need to replace the lock or do we replace the lock? And I said, I have no idea. I will ask at the meeting tonight.
The lock was a zip tie, Judy.
Oh,
Yeah.
the lock, okay, so I'll tell them the lock was a zip tie. Do you want it to stay a zip tie?
But I guess, do we want to put something so it's like a dual lock, that we have one, they have one?
Probably not a bad idea. I know we looked in the past at
Yeah.
like Wi-Fi locks or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, that never seemed to work out. But yeah, that might be the best option. So we both have one.
Have one, and either one can open it,
Yeah.
2 independent locks, so.
Dual lock, I can ask them if they have one. They may have, yeah, but they didn't seem very happy that somebody
No.
just went down.
Yeah. It's usually like a bar system. If you take one off, it slides through, so there's always one
Okay.
lock that will get it off.
Okay, so, but it is officially open. I can post that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that'd be Great, thank you.
so.
So would we provide a lock for that, or would that
That's
come
what he
from
asked us.
conservation?
He said,
No,
you guys,
if we do the dual locks,
Oh.
would
Well,
we
you could make
provide
it, you
or
could
would
make it a
come from
try, right? It could
conservation?
be conservation, recreation, and fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or 4 and give police one too. I mean, there's that ganging system.
I'll let
you
him
can
know and
use.
see what he recommends. Like if maybe they have one. I don't know. Maybe not.
And it's usually when it's closed, right, for the months from November on
Yeah,
to
that's the-
now. Usually November, December, I think is
Yeah.
when they close it.
Yeah, 'cause so it's gonna be open for the next couple months. We're not gonna lock it. We don't.
No.
Right,
Yeah.
no.
Door will be open.
Yeah, we get time.
So,
So we need to figure it out before fall.
yeah.
Pickleballs are Judy with that discussion.
So we're
regarding
gonna
the new-
withdraw that. So I'll return them and I'll check with Dave Mellon.
Okay, all right, thank you. metal detecting policy. Steve?
So we had a public hearing at the Board of Selectmen last night. We're going to adopt a metal detecting policy just to put some structure around it. We did find having some people going into historical sites and digging and so forth, so we figured it was time to put some structure to it. So the policy actually governs conservation, town land, recreation land, and so forth. And the point came up to, well, if somebody puts in a permit for it, are they going to have to wait 2 weeks possibly until we meet again? So we as a board can do a couple different things. I mean, it really depends on, are we concerned about people digging on recreation land? I mean, most people are good, they don't leave holes, they dig, they put it back. And if we are good with it, do we want to wait until we meet, so someone's going to have to wait 2 weeks? Or do we want to give the authority to the chair to make the decision? Or we could give the authority to the town administrator, so when the permit comes in, she can go and grant it. So that's kind of where we're at right now. What do we want to do as a commission?
Some extra
Yeah,
copies
if you
of
want
it.
to see what it actually says.
Thank you.
So that's kind of where we were at. I think every boarding commission is probably going to handle it a little bit different. I think the Heritage Commission might look at it differently than the Conservation's going to, than we're going to.
Well, I like the idea of having one contact person for the permit, because otherwise people are gonna be held up for up to 2 weeks, or
Could be, and if it's-
conservation meets once,
Yeah, and you just think if we're on our summer schedule, it could go almost to
Yeah.
4 weeks before someone,
I just made a couple notes that, can we have, as a rec commission saying you can't detect where irrigation systems are in place, because
I wouldn't want them detecting on any of our sports fields.
that's what with games and practices going on. And the other thing is, I didn't see it, but I could have missed it. Did they talk about dig safe at all?
no dig safe at all, because I don't think they dig that deep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think what we could do is we could grant authority to somebody
No, they actually
and say,
did dig.
however, if it's on this, this, or this, you have to come back to the commission because it could be irrigation, it could be low voltage wiring, or something that we don't want.
Like if they wanted the beach at Dara, I don't have a problem with that.
Correct.
But if they're gonna do the field where the irrigation is and something gets damaged, then who has to?
Go and take care of that.
But you can, Jay used to detect very heavily before we had kids, and you can end up, it'll tell you 6 inches, 8 inches.
But you think people are going down 4 feet,
No.
3 feet?
No, but
They
if you're
won't detect that
digging
deep.
like in
Yeah,
your.
so that's why I don't think dig safe. I mean, most of your gas lines, electrical lines are gonna be down deeper than that.
All right.
I mean, depending on the voltage, I know from an electrical line, it's certain distances down.
But.
We have a
I
gentleman
just-
here, probably could tell us exact distances going down.
I mean, most people
So
fill
to
it
do a
back and
function
put the
breaker, it could
grass
be higher
divot
up.
on.
Yep.
But just like with any use of any of our property, the majority of people take care of it, and it's one person that doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got a pothole in the middle of the field that an outfielder doesn't see, and,
There goes an ankle.
right. So,
So it really comes down to, what we want to do. We don't have to decide this evening if we don't want to, because it hasn't been adopted thus far, because we had to do the whole public hearing first before we could adopt it. But it was just something, people came in and said, well, if somebody has to wait 4 weeks, 2 weeks, how long do you have to wait? If, a dad and his son or a dad and his daughter want to go do it,
yeah.
they're going to have to sit and wait.
So now, up to this point, there's been no policy, so people could just go,
Go anywhere they want, anywhere on,
Oh, I
town
thought-
land,
Oh,
anywhere.
this wasn't in
Oh.
place?
No, this is brand new.
Wait, it says history adopted by Litchfield, New Hampshire Board of Selectmen, December 12th, 2022. On the top.
I don't think so. We'll have to go back and look. Yeah, I think that's an error.
I thought it was in place and it was being kind of reviewed or
Amended.
tweaked.
I
or
didn't
what
think we
people
had
think.
one, but I mean,
Well. Yeah,
I
so
can
they
go
would get
and
a
I can go and
permit.
research that,
They
because
were
I didn't think
told
we
they'd
had
get a
one.
permit and be good for a year.
Let me go back and ask Ms. Kleiner. Because I thought it was brand spanking new because of what transpired at the old mustard field
Yes.
and down,
well,
and
historical
actually into
dig.
the river itself also.
Well, an archaeological dig was going on.
Yes, so.
Sorry, has the policy been passed, or was it just a hearing?
We had the hearing, so you have to have the hearing for public input.
Yep.
And then from the public input, then you can go and adopt it.
So I thought
So
the public hearing was to review it and,
They can
Amend it.
amend it if they choose to, and now,
Right.
based on that, we
But,
have to go back next meeting to
so I don't know
adopt.
whether December 12th,
Yeah, I'll have to look into that. It might be the first time that we discussed it,
yeah,
and it was written, because it's been going on for a while.
and then anything found is considered town-owned property.
So part of it also was for a lost and found. If somebody lost something on, let's say, a recreation
Right.
property, they could go and file with the police, with the town, I lost this. So when people go off and they're detecting, if they find it, they can reach out, and if
Yeah.
there's a correlation, we can get it back to them.
All right, so I guess we'll bring this back after the board. of selectmen.
Yeah, and we just need to figure out what path we'd like to go with it.
Okay. I can't recall any time this issue has come up for the rec commission.
And no, it never has. Well, there's never really been a
No.
policy, so people could have been detecting on our land, and it was like,
We didn't know it.
had
I
no
think
idea.
people tend to go on older properties where there's older buildings, because they're usually looking for,
I go in Steve's backyard a lot.
yeah.
Stuff is-
Jay found
No,
a
because some
gun
people
at
go out in the
one
woods and
point.
they look for old homesteads, right? They'll find a
Foundations, yeah.
foundation, and they'll go around the foundation to get rusty old nails and, things that have historic value to
had,
them.
like,
Coins and buttons and.
Buckles and buttons and something else, and I was like, I think you just dug up a dead body, and that's what was left. But he found a gun in Litchfield. He turned it into the police department years ago. I think we didn't even live here at the time.
Oh, wow.
All right, thanks for bringing that forward, Steve.
Oh, you're welcome.
So next, I'm going to add in Eversource, and it sounds like we need to approve their request for how they'd like to partner with us on the
Yes.
fence.
So Eversource finished the work out at Scott Innes Brickyard Field. And while doing it, one section of fence was damaged, so they were willing to replace one section of fence. Ms. Kleiner, the building inspector, and road agent met with Eversource, and they've kind of talked Eversource into replacing the whole fence, which is costly.
Yeah.
In return, Eversource would like to be able to put a gate at the end in order to go access their equipment. So Ms. Kleiner asked if we approve that or not. I jokingly said, well, they want a gate, we need the other fence fixed too, so can we get both fences? But it didn't seem like anybody wanted to go negotiate that. I think they felt they got as far as they could, getting a brand-new fence all the way down, I think it's the north side.
Do they know what type of fence or gate they wanted to do?
They didn't say, but I have a feeling the fence going up was gonna be the PVC fences, like
Oh, really?
they've been putting up everywhere, yeah.
Okay.
So it's gonna be a nice fence that goes up, it's costly, but they would like to have a gate in order to get it, which makes sense.
It's better
Let
than
them have a
nothing.
gate, Garen, yeah.
It's better than
That's how I looked at it, at least we get that fence and we have to go out there and fix it, it's one less thing we have to go maintain, because it's gonna be brand new.
All right, so can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, and a second?
Second.
All right, any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise hand, say aye.
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 Those abstain, pass 400.
I will let Ms. Kleiner know.
Thank you. All right, moving on to other business. So, Andy fixed the slide at Durham with a little patchwork.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Handy work by Andy.
Andy.
Handy Andy.
I wouldn't say that.
All right, I got a new name for him.
And ropes course, Judy.
I'm playing phone tag with Doug Totten. Last I had emailed with him, he suggested we chat about a few things. It's easier than email. I mean, the money is still there. The expiration date is this June 30th of 2023, if they're gonna use the money and renew it or not. So I'm sure he's talking with people with the school. So we still have a little time. Just one thing to keep in mind, if they don't renew it, we should, I was thinking we should come up with a date we'd like it removed by. Like, I don't think we should still have that up there a year
agree.
from now, and none of us are qualified to remove that unless we burn it, really. So that's something to keep in mind, and how much time do we think?
Because
is
if
an
they're not gonna
appropriate
use it, they
amount
might
of
wanna
time?
if they're not gonna use it, they might wanna utilize those funds to take it down.
Yeah, that's a good thought.
Yeah,
And I'm sure they have to have their programming in place for classes
Right.
before then.
so, So I think we'll know more in the coming weeks, before that obviously expires.
Yeah.
Well, what's our recourse if they don't take it down? I mean, at that point, the liability goes back to us, right?
Right,
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah, so I think we'll have to figure out a way to take it down.
Yeah. I mean, is it, get the road agent out there with a pair of snips and just let them start cutting?
I mean, you gotta get up there, plus there's like stands, wooden stands, and
Yeah.
True.
like some of the I don't know if there's damage because some of the trees fell on it. So I don't even know if it's usable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if they know that.
Guess we'll cross that when June 30th comes.
That's right. All right, so Doug will hopefully get back
So
to you.
I'll keep
and-
you posted on what happens there.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, any other business members want to bring forward? So for the next meeting date, let me ask the commission on this. We're kind of moving to the summertime. We'd agreed to have all meetings scheduled on the books, but then drop them if they're not needed. So, looking at, it's been typically June, July, sometimes August, that's been the case. My experience has been, the August ones, we've needed both because of the budget process.
Yes.
So, it's more June and July that I think it would be likely that we would cancel one. But I would certainly want to aim to keep the first one in June because we have a 3-week gap just because of the way the calendar works
Yep.
out, for this one. And, so wouldn't want to go any further than that. So we'll keep all the regularly scheduled meetings on the books, but, at the 13th, we can start to ferret out if we want to keep the 27th and then talk about July as well.
Yeah, I was in the back of my mind thinking, I wonder if, I wouldn't mind reaching out to the two ADs of the middle school and the high school and whatever fall teams usually request and say, you know, can you get in your requests and by this July date or this August date? And if they're requesting a lot of sports start in August, I think the school sports start a couple weeks before school starts, so that we don't have to come in to one meeting
Mm-hmm.
for a soccer request and just say, I don't know, how do you guys feel about that if I put that out to
Put a
them?
deadline on it.
And say, even if you don't know your game schedule, you know your practices are
Yep.
every day, and to just get that in.
Yeah.
Sort of
you
the
know,
That's a
better-
good idea.
ahead of time.
I
'Cause
don't think it's
sometimes we're
unreasonable.
getting
It's
requests, and we have a meeting, and they wanted to start yesterday, you know?
Yeah.
And I
It usually
think
falls
most
upon it.
sports teams, I mean, you know, if it's your sports season, what you're gonna be requesting 5 days or 6 days a week and what the times
Yeah.
are, and that,
Yep.
I would hate for us to have to come in.
Yeah. And historically, LGSL has been doing fall league too, so we should start looking at ours at that point on what our usage
So
is
if we
gonna look
looked
like.
at July, what our first meeting date in July and in August would be,
See, it's the 11th of July.
11th,
July 11th,
then the 25th, then August 8th and 22nd.
and on August 8th. So if I ask them to get them in by July 11th or August 8th, if that works for them, I don't,
Be great. I mean, July 11th seems pretty quick.
Quick, yeah.
Like they just may not have enough information by that point. But yeah, if they can, certainly by the August 8th one, that would be good to get ahead of.
Yeah.
It's probably still before things really get started.
right.
August 8th, probably what, 2 weeks before school
But
starts,
then
right?
the ADs could even,
Three.
they won't have their schedule, or they may be even getting a schedule, but they know what they need for practice times and what fields, and that it's Monday through Friday
Yeah.
type of thing. So it's, you know, and then they can make adjustments if they need to, or our game days changed or something that's, you know, different, but to get in your
Yep.
broad request and make it a little easier on.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
So
think that
you
August
okay?
8th. Yep. that sounds
So I'm
good.
gonna send something out before the end of the school year to the ADs.
Awesome.
And they've been very responsive to getting back to me on things, so.
Thank you. All right, with that, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much. Have a pleasant evening.
Chris, do you have